All right, well, we will get started, starting a few minutes late after some technical issues. If you're just joining us, feel free to say hello in the chat box. Let me know what business you are with. If you're a business owner, that'd be super helpful. But tonight I want to talk to you a little bit about this really overwhelming idea of potentially reopening your business. So May 18th is that next magic number, or magic date, and then we'll see what happens then. But the fact that we have some time until we reopen is a great opportunity, because now is the time where you can start to put some training plans together to prepare your workforce to open successfully. And that applies even if you're just a workforce of one, right? So even if it's just you, there are still some things that you want to think about as the sole business owner, sole employee, so that your reopen can be successful. And really, I want to start with some basics when it comes to training. So, training employees has three main objectives. It's an opportunity to welcome them to your business, to explain your processes, your procedures, and it also is an opportunity to set expectations, and that's expectations around customer service, work hours, uniform, just the daily operations of your business. So those are really the three main objectives of any training program. And whether you're going to be bringing back your seasoned employees or you find yourself hiring new people at this point in time, everyone should participate in a training program before you reopen. We're not going to return our businesses to the way that they were before all of this pandemic happened. And it's really important that you acknowledge that and that you set the stage for what your business looks like today and how things are going to function today. And of course, always knowing that what looks like today might not be what it looks like tomorrow, right? If we've learned anything through this, it's that things are constantly changing. So getting your staff also prepared to be flexible and be malleable to those changes that are going to come as regulations change and recommendations change. So a few best practices to kind of lay the groundwork for how to set up a successful training program. One, where and when are you going to do it? Set aside dedicated time when your business is not open, when you're not answering phones, when you're not answering email or, responding to social media, where both you and your employees can be focused and not distracted. I would even ask your employees to put their phones away. Like, everyone is just focused on that conversation and that training. I also really like having an agenda. I think that it doesn't have to be complex. It can just be a couple of bullet points, and sharing that with your employees ahead of time, giving them an idea of what to expect, potentially how much time you're going to be there, right? So depending on how much you have to train them on, your training program could be an hour. It could be 4 hours, right? For some of your businesses, there are going to be some really big changes. And so let them know exactly what to expect, okay? And of course, this is work time. So pay them for the time that they're there, right? They might not be supporting employees or doing their regular job, but they're still working even if they're training. So definitely pay them. And I always like to say, if you can, do something a little bit extra. If you're having a morning meeting, maybe bring in coffee. If you're having an evening meeting, can you provide some bagged dinners? Or maybe everybody these days, right? We're not sharing pizzas anymore, but maybe they all bring in their meal and you let them eat while you're having the meeting. So do what you can to maybe make it a little fun and do something a little extra. So there are three big things I want you to think about as you start to reopen your business and ensure that you do so with purpose. The first goal is to remind. Okay, so number one, remind. Potentially, it's been a while since your staff have been in your store or your place of business. So they may need to be reminded of the basics. And they also are going to want to know what has changed. Whether you've been communicating with them regularly or not while you've been closed, remind them of all of those key things. And then share your enthusiasm for what the future might hold, right? Like, we're excited to come back. yeah, it's going to be a little funky and a little weird and different, but we're excited that we're here and we're going to be able to connect with our customers in some capacity. I think also take a moment to just be personable with them. How are they doing? How are you doing? Like, businesses aside, just how are we as people and as friends and colleagues? So the first thing you want to remind them of is your mission and vision. So what is your mission vision? Remind them of that. Give them a little refresh. Explain what it means to you today and how it's inspiring you to continue to work today. And then a great activity you can do with them, because no one wants to just sit in a training and have someone lecture at them the entire time, is how it inspires them and what it means to them. So on that note, if you want, shoot a comment in the comment section, like, what are you most inspired and excited about as we start to get back to work and we start to open up our businesses again? I'd love to hear what you're looking forward to. Let's keep in mind, too, the difference between a mission and a vision. I think people get confused sometimes on the difference between the two. A mission describes the business you are in, your objective in that industry, and the unique approach that you offer, right? Because you're probably not the only one who's doing what you do, but you're doing something unique within that industry. So what is that? It's telling your customers, your employees, and yourself what you want to do right now, right? So that the mission is very much about the present. A great example that I like is JetBlue's mission statement, which is to inspire both in the air and speak in type. The flight writer, not just that this is going to talk to everyone. A vision statement is a little bit different. A vision is about the future and the impact that you want to have. So it speaks to where you want to be. That should really be inspiring and motivating. That's the forward thinking one, which can be tough right now, right? Like, maybe the vision that you've had for your business, like, has totally done a U-turn and be the same because of what 2020 is on. That's why it's important to you're on how it has potentially changed. Okay. A great example of a vision statement that I love is Microsoft. When they were founded, their vision was a computer on every desk and in every home. Like, think about that, especially back when Microsoft was founded. Like, the idea of having a computer in every home was totally crazy. Now it seems pretty normal, right? But that's a really bold vision statement. The second thing that you want to remind your staff of is your service standards. And this is probably the one thing that's going to be the biggest change. So definitely, what are those safety measures going to be? That's the big thing. This is where you're going to spend a lot of time, I think, right now. And you always want to spend a significant amount of time on your service standards. This is where you're talking about process and procedure. And I think what's so important when you share these things is to share the why behind them. If your employees and your workforce understand why you're asking to do something a certain way, I think they're more apt to follow it. And in the event that they are in a situation where they can't follow that policy or procedure, if they understand the why, they can make a reasonable and educated decision to do something differently while still trying to achieve the same goal, right? So you'll have less issues if something goes awry. For example, do you have a certain procedure because, for balancing the cash register at the end of the day, because it makes it easier for you to do the books every week or every month, right? Explaining, they don't need to know the ins and outs and the details of how you do the books, but at least that they understand that that's why that process is in place the way that you've decided to put it into place. So thinking about today, what safety measures are you taking to provide a safe and welcoming space for both your employees and your customers, and explaining why you've made those decisions. If necessary, together step-by-step guides and post signage to educate your customers. Friendly signage is always helpful. Share your expectations on social media channels so that your customers know before they even show up what to expect. And then practice or walk through anything with your employees that has the potential to be misinterpreted, right? Do a role play, or my favorite is like make it a contest. So maybe you have a certain standard for how clothes are folded or how clothes are hung up. So have your employees practice. Maybe you have a contest between multiple employees to see who can do 10 shirts the fastest, and the best, right? Because quality is still important, not just quantity. So find some way to make learning some of these procedures fun. And then the third piece about reminding is going to be how you're going to manage your customers' requests, their returns, scheduling, right? Depending on what industry you're in, how are you going to manage all of this? And I think we're going to see either one of two things when our doors do start to open. We're either going to see customers come rushing in, they just cannot wait for your service or product any longer, or they're going to be really hesitant to return because they still have some remaining fears. Maybe they're immunocompromised and they're not ready to go back out into stores until things are a little bit safer, right? So we're going to see one or other side of this spectrum. So you want to prepare your staff to handle both. What is your return policy going to be? How do you want to handle customer concerns and complaints? And empower your employees to do as much as they can, right? You don't want the answer to always just be, oh, I'll take care of it, because then you're going to be totally overwhelmed. You have employees for a reason. So empower them. And, at the end of the day, that's going to make a smoother process for your customers too. If the first person I approach can handle my need, then I'm going to be much happier than if I have to be passed off to a manager and then an owner or something like that, right? I don't want to be bounced around. For those of you who provide a service, if you're going to be scheduling appointments, how are you going to be handling the potential increased flow? What takes priority? Who takes priority? How are customers going to be making requests? Maybe there's a different process than your normal process because of that anticipated heavy workflow. And how are you following up with people? So definitely some things to think about. And you want to educate your staff on the answers to all of these questions so that they can help with that onslaught of customers, that potential onslaught. And of course, I always say, remember to overpromise and underdeliver. So if you know you can turn something around in 48 hours, tell your customers 72. And then they'll be really thrilled when they get it in 48 hours. And then that gives you that wiggle room just in case something happens and you can't meet that 48 hours. So that's remind. Second big piece of reopening your business is going to be refresh. Okay, so the world has changed around us and we are all really eager to return to normal, whatever normal is going to be. We've all been impacted by this crisis in some capacity, others in different ways than other people. And a refresh is really about acknowledging the changes in your business, in our community, and all that you and your employees have experienced. Like, who knows what your employees may have experienced in their own homes and in their own community. So think about, where is your business today compared to pre-pandemic, right? Take us back to early March. If you did transition your business online, what did that look like? What worked well? What will you keep doing? And letting your staff know what things you're going to maintain in that online environment. What things are you going to bring into the brick and mortar location, maybe that started online? And things are you going to stop doing? It will no longer be available online, right? So like if you're selling things all online now and doing curbside pickup, are you going to keep doing that? Or are people going to have to come into the store now that the doors are open? So thinking about those things and refresh your procedures accordingly. What projects were you working on before the pandemic? What were your goals for the business? How were employees involved in achieving those? And where do they stand today? Were you preparing to launch a brand new service? And is that service still going to be launched? Where are you on that timeline? Have you been using this time to create some new things, refresh your place of business? What does that look like now? And how is that going to change how you do business day to day if you've taken advantage of this time to do some updates, right? And then for those of you that have an inventory or even service, right, stuff's maybe been sitting on the shelves for a while. So what is going to take priority? Are there some special sales that you're doing? Is there certain, inventory that you want to try and push and get out the door? And so looping in your employees on the plan for that so they can help promote the right things. And so let them know where to focus if there is something that is going to be a priority. Okay, so we've reminded, we've refreshed, and the last thing that we want to think about is re-energizing. And this is something that you want to share even in training with brand new employees. But what's your story? Why are you in business? And why this business, right? We could all probably start lots of different businesses, but why'd you pick the one that you are in today? Tell your story and your history. Share your why. And engage your employees in that vision because they're going to help you bring it to life, right? Like this business is your heart and soul. So how can you help them understand that and become a part of making it a reality? What's the experience you're providing for your customers? And what do you want your customers to feel? And how do you make that happen? And how are your employees going to make that happen? What are those standards? The standards of service, the standards of that customer engagement that you want them to have, and how are you going to make sure that it is the best that it could possibly be? And that's really in the hands of your employees, right? Let's see. And then, your customers, of course, right? Who are your customers and why are they special? So let's have a refresh about who those customers are. Thinking a little bit about who your ideal customer is. Like if you could create and craft that ideal customer, who would they be? What are they coming in for? And what makes that customer so special? So this could be kind of a really fun activity to do with your staff, is to have them all create their ideal customer and think about those traits that we are most excited about seeing in our ideal customers. And I bet for some of your employees, they could probably name who that ideal customer is. Like, I know who it is. I love that person and I miss them and I can't wait for them to come back. So definitely that's a fun activity. And have everybody share what their ideal customer is like. And you can have them even sketch them out. Like think about like, what do they wear? What do they look like? What are they bringing in with them? Are you at a place where like your favorite customer always brings their dog with them, and you actually maybe like the dog more than the customer? That's totally okay. So that can be a fun little activity. Bring out some of the creative juices in your employees. And then the other piece about energizing them that you can get excited about is the role you play in your community. I see so many great folks on here tonight who are in Salem or run fabulous Salem businesses, and I think we can all agree Salem is awesome. And so how do you participate in the community? What things are you involved in? And I think that's important to share with your employees so that they understand that like it's not just I walk in here, I run my business, I go home and it's separate, right? So many things that we do all interlace, and we support other initiatives in the community. And maybe we donate our time or we donate our services or goods, and maybe your business sponsors other events that are going on. So bringing your employees into that conversation, and maybe there's some opportunity for them to also get involved. And this re-energize piece, the other important part about this is that, you've hired some really unique people for some reason because they fit something that you're looking for in your business. And so maybe there's something else that they bring to the table that can help bring more involvement in the community, bring a unique approach to how you deliver your customer service. So think about that too. What unique things can they provide? And why did you hire them over other people? So tap into your workforce. They may have some really great ideas for you. And I see Lindsay's asking a great question about those who maybe aren't on board with some of the procedures that you put into place. I think no matter what environment you're in, whether it's a totally healthy one or not, you're always going to have those employees who maybe don't like your expectations, don't like the dress code, can't show up on time, don't like the procedures. And I think the more that you can really invest this time in training, set those expectations from the very beginning, and make sure they understand that why behind why you're asking them to do this. It isn't just because you think it's fun, right? There's a purpose behind that. And if they can understand that purpose. And I think if you would have someone who's a challenge, it's about having a one-on-one conversation with them. Like, I would not do that with everybody in a group setting. Talk to one-on-one, find out what's going on, and see if you can come to resolution together. I think in some cases you're just going to have to say, you have to do this, or the work is not an option. So we think about the masks in Salem, right? Like right now they're required or we're going to get fined. So that's going to happen in order for your business to function, that all your employees are going to have to wear masks. So there's always those challenges, and every once in a while we get those employees who are tough. But that's what makes business fun, right? I think what's important as you wrap up your training program, and after you put this together, you've answered those questions, how going back to your employees and saying, all right, how do we feel? Are we ready? What questions do we have? And making sure that they're invested in that mission and vision, and that they're there and they're ready to support the business moving forward. And getting them that, like, things can change. This is so flexible, and every week looks a little different than the week before, and that being prepared for that flexibility as things continue to progress. So let's just review the things we talked about. We're going to refresh their memories on your mission, your vision. You're going to remind them of your policies, your procedures, the new safety measures you're putting into place, and how you're going to manage all of your customers. And then you're going to you're going to empower your employees to take action. You're going to encourage them to support the business and the community. And you're going to celebrate what makes your customers so unique and why you love them and why you've missed them over the last couple of weeks. I think that where we're headed, we're not entirely sure, but now is a great time to take a look at that training program. What I talked about tonight really specifically about reopening your business and some of those specific things that you want to think about in the next couple of days. But you should really have a consistent and regular training program for any time you bring on new employees. It's going to touch on some of the same things here, but I think a new employee training does look a little bit different. And if you've got questions or you're not sure really where to go with your training, whether it's this training, any other training that you may offer, please feel free to connect with me. I have trained hundreds of new employees in a multitude of businesses, and I think it's such an important part of the process of your successful business. The more your employees know, the more successful you can be, and the better customer experiences you offer. And happy customers leads to businesses. So connect with me, Tradewinds Learning on Facebook or Instagram, or you can email me, tradewindslearning@gmail.com. And I'd love to chat about what you're interested in. I have a brand new blog coming out tomorrow. I'm super excited about. Tomorrow's my birthday, and I am celebrating it with a new blog. So if you want to get on that blog, it's going to be full of regular tips and actionable items to help grow your business, to put together great training programs, and to develop goals that are really going to move your business forward. So drop me a message, and I'd love to get you on that blog. And of course, you can always check it out at tradewindslearning.com. So I am excited for your businesses to open. I definitely plan to come and get some of you that joined us tonight. I know we all can't wait to see to return to normal, and I'm going to continue to use normal in quotes. So thank you so much for joining me tonight. And I hope to hear from you soon. Have a great night, everybody.